Hi there everyone, hope everyone's well. Before we do begin, just draw your attention to the standard disclaimer. It says everything is for educational purposes only, and you are responsible for your trading decisions. There we go. It sounds like I'm coming through loud and clear. Hi there, Jacob. Alright, let's have a look, folks. Now, I haven't got the... You have to follow the mouse carefully. I haven't got the... haven't got the highlighter up. It's going to zap out again, I think, with the green flashes. So, in the interest of public safety, don't want to induce a fit with anybody. So, yes, I'm sorry about that. Normally I do have the big green highlighter. Alright, so, welcome everyone. Welcome anyone that is new. Jake, we've got three stop losses, was it, yesterday? There's a couple that I saw you were looking at. I might have been in. Aussie Yen was one. Partial at the low, and this is why I suggest, taking a partial at the support. If you got in there, even if it's 0.7R, simply because, this is the area that price is likely to stall. When sort of seeing, this engulfing here, I'm kind of starting to bail on some of those. Let me show you. I'll see if I can bring it up. Forget the indicators. This is what the scan brings up. But let me show you some of my trades. My equity trades. I might have got rid of them, but exiting when the strength against me. There's one. Medibank Private. Now I know this is an Aussie stock. No, so I got in on the break here. Original stop here. Had price consolidate at the high, and I took a partial exit when it popped underneath. I didn't unload everything. I know that's a little small. Alright. I didn't unload everything. If the next day had a drop down through the low, or that close, in other words, we had a close below the low here, that would have been good enough for me to jump out if it didn't show strength in the morning. Hi there, Warwick. So I'm very quick to sort of, bail during the day if there's strength against it. And as you can see, I stayed in, was able to stay in. Look, took a partial profit on the gap today. So that's now in profit, and you can see, there we go, I've got my stop in at break even. There's a couple of others. Here's another one, look, CHC, a big corrective. Here, it wasn't going anywhere. Look, I took 2 exits, trying to just ease out of it if it was going to roll, even before it hit the stop. And as it turned out, it turned, a bit of strength came in. And there you go, look at today, the last couple of days. I actually even added on break of B wave, so I actually should have taken a partial there today. Or yesterday. But, see that? Look, there's 2 exits through there on that bar. So, I'm very big on sort of, and look, it's a fine line, I get that. It's a fine line between, sort of, if this was a trade, partial exit around here, around partial profit, partial exit on the break of this one here. We don't want to see that, do we? Because that's this is a double bottom now, and that's your entry into the double bottom. All right, so if you took a partial there, let's say 0.7R, and we took something out here, now that's probably negative, let's say negative, so that's plus. Then we've got negative 0.3R. And then so we ended up with a full stop on the last, the remainder, negative 1R. So what do we got? we've got negative 1.3 less. So we got, what's that, 0.6. Negative 0.6 divided by 3. So negative 0.2R. Instead of a full stop out. Remember, it's the best loser wins. But yes, I saw a couple of those. The Aussie Swiss was the other one that we were looking at. Remember this here? We're hoping this was going to pop and give us something in here. Very close. That might have been another one that you took. All right, let's have a look at the index. So we're getting another test of the high here, which is good. So we had a weak pullback. This is kind of coiling into the high, which is good. Look, higher lows, higher lows. So far so good with these. The VIX is dropping back. No, they're never pleasant, Jacob. I get that. I know that. Dollar index. Still just drifting down, but same thing here. Look. A bit of a double bottom. I'm always cautious around those, large. This is still short though. Euro dollar we liked. Waiting for a pullback through here. We didn't get it early, but this is not too bad here. Apologies for all of the work on the chart, but we're back. All right, back to the 61 of this move here. All right, so 61 is there. Can't get a close below. We know Euro likes 50s, but then we've also got this neckline through here. So you got a little bit of a, wedge through there. That'll be expanding triangle on the 60 minute. Well, here it is, kind of through here, but this is the 60 minute high. So we get a swing in here. I think this is worthy. That'll kind of clear through here, get the 20 period. 20 period's sort of flattish here. So we can get that angling back up, get the 8 to come back up. In other words, get a pullback in there. That'll be worthy. Euro dollar. Okay, let's go through in order. Copper. So copper I don't mind. Got a little bit of a quasi money bar here. Yeah. Jacob says he does better long than short. Need to flip the screen upside down. Yeah, look, I have a long bias. There's no doubt about it. So copper, not bad here. So we get a... this is even worthy here. Now this is red bar ignored. Ribby or RBI. And the opposite is green bar ignored. See it here, a bit of selling come in. So the break of that high is actually a setup. Alright, stop under the low there. Or you can see that's a bear sandwich. So, that could be a scaling there. Otherwise, wait for... See if we get a pullback through here and a sort of a wide AB shallow C. Well, you might want to enter a bit there, keep your stop out the way, see what it does around here. Well, I'll often do that. Okay, copper. Alright, let's move through. So if anyone is watching me from YouTube, the analysis tends to be a little bit sort of more technical. So if you don't understand it, just stick with it. Most of the people, sort of the members that we have at FXF traders are a little bit more advanced. Alright, so we got the big move through here. We like this. We got the pullback in there on the 4 hour. And I put in the room there that we had the single leg pullback trigger through there. So that was okay. Same thing here. Look, we might get C or we might get that red bar ignored again. Alright, so that was it through there. Alright, so there was the push from the low. Push from the low. You can see all the work I've done with it. 5 waves up. Corrective back here. And then a inverted head and shoulders through here. Look, that's actually retesting the neckline. And then there's the target of the head and shoulders. It looks like 1, 2. That looks like 3, 4 could be in play there as well. So expecting a push, a little 1, 2 there. For those that like the Elliott wave principle. So happy to keep that on. Gold. Silver, look, we still need to give this time. A, B, this looks like B into C. A little extended. WTI, though, happy to keep this on. We're looking for a setup in there. You might have got in early here. A, B, and C in there. You might have got in there. That looks a little different. Jacob. It's probably one that, on the long side, that we do that looks a little better. The entry through there, partial off at the high, seeing what the rest can do now. So let's see how this behaves. We might even get a pull back into the 20. See how this behaves around the high. Still take the very high, but remember this is weak res. Spoken about that, so you can see it's already attacked it twice. So see what we get in here. We might just get a push straight into it. Consolidation, then the breakout entry. WTI. Alright, so what is it that I do like? Let's go through again in order. So the Hang Seng, I said about this one too, broken B wave. So your daily trade, that would be the entry through there. If you like the 4 hour, if you prefer the 4 hour, you see we've got a little swing in there. You might want to wait for another setup in here. Hang Seng, Euro we did, gold we did. Euro yen. So Euro yen's back. Moving averages look okay. Weekly it looks okay. Testing the high here. See if we can get a setup in around the high. Maybe the cut with handle or breakout pullback. So just the start of momentum there. British pound. We liked this yesterday as well. Alright, so we're looking for a pullback into the 20. You might have already found the single leg pullback. We've actually got A, B, C right here already. So the entry would be above here. So it is a little close to the high, but expecting a nice push. The 60-minute, the daily axis giving us the 1, 2, 3 here. So that would line up with the 1, 2, 3 entry. Pound Aussie. Got the cut with handle forming through here. 4 hours back above the moving average. Daily is okay. Let's see if we can find something through here. Alright, so we're back above the moving averages. If we can get, if potentially there's enough sideways drift at the high here, that would be okay for a breakout through, and that'll give the 20 time to kind of kick up with it, and then the 8 will be dribbling along under there. So the start of, you know, new sort of momentum. Let's see what we get. Well, obviously that's what we'd like to see, but we don't always get that. Okay, New Zealand we were looking at yesterday as well. Looking for a suitable pullback. Pulling back on the daily. We got the inverted head and shoulders through here. So very sharp. Are we washing this off? Maybe. Just be mindful of these can turn into, well, the bigger corrective. So my preference would be to see some strength out here and then the next pullback to wash off that, you know, to try and get a bit of momentum behind it and wash off those sort of trap longs. New Zealand yen. So New Zealand yen weekly looks okay. It's trying to break trend on the weekly. Got a bit of an inverted head and shoulders here. Daily looks okay. No anchor break, so we're still just uptrending. Got a big ABC here, broken B, pulling back. Even if we did break trend through here, we're now back above it. So we're now back in uptrend. Got a nice push, pull back in here. 4 hour. So the daily is in a, you know, in sort of an early state. So this is not bad. We've got A, B, C there on the daily. So it's big. It's a big pattern. So it's not too bad. It's not too extended. So look, it's up to you whether you want to consider scaling in, you know, through there. I'd keep the stop out here. Here's today's open. So you wouldn't expect that to be taken out. Got a nice little V reversal look here. But, you know, we may get, you know, a bit of a sideways move after like that. So just be prepared for that. New Zealand yen. Not bad though. Look, got the wicks pushing in there. Okay, counter trend long. Where am I? Counter trend long. Got pound yen. So just got the, you know, retest of the high. Weekly looks good. Back above the moving averages. So nice outside bar here. So look for any reason to get in through here. If you did want to just fall in here, keep your stop out the way here. But this is not bad. Be mindful on the way up. Oh, there we go. We're through it. We're through the 61. So that's pound yen. The other one is pound Singapore. We had this on yesterday as well. There's a potential through here. So you can see that's on its way. That's a little bit better one, Jacob, this one. It's still messy, but this is not bad. So if you got onto this one, there it is in there. That was it there. All right, partial out at the high. And stop could be under that one now. So let's see if we get another setup through here, or we may just get the, you know, the stall out and then the pop through. That would be okay for a breakout. Nice IO here. Inside outside combo. You don't hear any of the popular books talk about that, but look where it is too, as an igniting pattern. That's already through it, and part of the gap today. So pound Singapore. All right, some shorts. Dollar CAD. The dollar CAD sitting on this trend line. We're just retesting this low had a nice big move down. We've had, you know, potentially third wave through here. Had the test of the low. So here's the breakout pullback. You've got a little bit of a swing in here. All right, so that'll be B in there. A, B, and C. So once again, if you take that one, don't forget to take something off at the low. And just remember too that this wick will have significance as well. So dollar CAD short. Dollar Chinese yuan. The dollar Swiss we were looking at didn't go anywhere. So dollar Chinese yuan, the weekly is downtrending. Yeah, it's got a little bit of room to the 61 down here. We've got a pullback on the daily. Got an ABC on the daily. There's B on the 4 hour. So you can see price is coming down testing it. So, you know, we've had a mild test of it already. So we get another push, the usual story, you know, the consolidation, maybe a move up, and then through that would be good enough for the breakout. Otherwise, you're going to have to wait for the breakout and then the pullback. All right, so we've already had that little, you know, little push. I mean, ideally, let's have a look. Let me try and create some. All right, so we had that, you know, and that was our low through there. That would be an ideal breakout. Down, little pullback, and then through that would be ideal with a stop there. You know, probably looks like we would have got taken out, but you know, that's a nice little, you know, sort of consolidation in there. As you can see, well, that's actually the level there. It's a little lower there. All right, so see what we get. Anyone else getting an echo? Again, just draw your attention to the standard disclaimer. It says they're just for educational purposes only. No, might have it on two. Pound Singapore. All right, some shorts. Dollar CAD. No, I'm not getting it, Jacob. Dollar CAD sitting on this trend line. I think it might be just you, champ. All right, so dollar CAD, Chinese yuan. So that's all I'm seeing with the currencies. Let's now have a look at the cryptos. Go through interesting on the cryptos. 88. Let me bring up that. So we've had a big correction on 88, and prices tested the moving average, the 8. The fact that it's coming back and testing it after a little base has me kind of suspect that this is gonna push through. All right, so I'm just gonna put the little arrow there, just what I'm thinking. But there's not huge separation in there. I don't mind this. Yeah, I've got a position open on that one, and yes, I added to it here from the base. All right, so we got the inverted cut with inverted head and shoulders through here. we had the push out of it, right? And there's the 4-hour anchor. So we got price acceptance here, not yet, but we probably have now. So then we had this weak pullback through here. See this here? I got in and added to it in there. I think my first one was in here. Yeah, it is, because my average is about here. So when you look at the 60-minute here, I got the the V reverse. So in here I added. So just be careful with these though. These are, I'm very nimble with this. I think I showed you my my phone. I wasn't meaning to to kind of show off, but I do monitor these while I'm out. I'm going out. Very good, Jacob. So I'm very nimble with that, and I showed you some of the the where I took profit on some of them as well. So anyway, so this got potential there, but I'm not going to include that. Look where it is too on the weekly. It's a bit messy. Avalanche is very similar. Well, those two seem to be very similar, ADA and Avalanche. Binance Coin, though, I don't mind this. This is improving. We've got the wick here. I actually missed this. I saw this to Savo, but that's obviously pushed since I was in the gym. Got a little ABC in there on the 4-hour. So, this is back above the moving average. So this is not bad. So I'm happy to put that on as what? Right, so this is straight out longs. Binance Coin. Bitcoin. Remember here, look, we're under the 20. 20 is still rising, so I'm hoping that this can, get through. But notice this here, this is still very corrective looking, isn't it? So, I'm just a little, concerned that, it's just going to correct out and then bang, we're going to get a big drop back through. Where's the daily anchor? It's right back here. So, look, this bar here, we still can't even take out the high properly. But, we've tagged the 50%, through there right on. Yes, Jacob, 5 to 6 bars. Jacob's asked about the single leg pullback was 5 to 6 bars. Would I still take it as an entry? Yeah, the minimum is kind of 3, isn't it? Now, I know what you're getting at. So we were taught, weren't we? 1 to 4 or 7 to 11. I still remember that. That's Gann's counter trend entry. Now, I'm not quite sure why he did that. And I haven't got the data to prove that. But you're in the middle here, aren't you? 5 to 6. All right. Yeah, here's one here. Look, 1, 2, 3. So I don't really know, but I haven't found that kind of to be the case. As long as it pulls back into the 20, we get a change of guard bar or a hammer or something. So Bitcoin, I'm just leaving that out. Doge, look, same here. We've got a little bit of separation there, but not a lot. Certainly got the big climactic here, but this still, this just looks corrective. I was hoping. I mean, look, we do have an ABC in here, which is a good sign. Want to see that push. We had a bit of strength come through at the top of the base there, which was pleasing. But then it kind of just corrected out. So it's certainly trying You know, look, if we get above here, yeah, maybe, but look where it is on the daily. Right? It's going to navigate that. We know how it plays out when it navigates the moving averages from underneath. And look at the weekly, it's underneath the moving averages. Right? See, tested it here. Here's a classic example, isn't it? We looked at this weeks ago. See the 8 here in grey. So we've got the bar 1 is the test. Bar 2 is the rejection. Bar 3 is usually the one that goes through, and we're looking for trades in here up to the 20. So we can clearly see that on even the weekly time frame, price is respecting this moving average. You can see through here, the 20, it's having trouble getting through it. So look at what it looks like now. Even just the look of the moving average, this looks like a pullback short. See that? So and until we can kind of get back up above here, and attempt to the highs, I'm being a little bit cautious. We do have a nice solid bar here, which is what I want to see. And those of you that will know the stochastic RSI signature will know that's a short entry. Well, that's a short signal. Two hammer type candles and a bearish engulfing. It kind of smells short, doesn't it? And we've got the the quasi evening star here with these. All right. So that's my hesitation. All right. Different when we've gotten through it here. Look. And this is where I say, if it's genuine, we test it, we pull back. If it's genuine, there's plenty of meat in the move. So I want to see this and above the moving averages kind of in here. Or here, or maybe over here by the time it gets to it. That'll mean that the 20 is going to, have to curl around. Just bear with me a sec, folks. That isn't cool. That's that lawyer behind me wants to go out to dinner. Which is okay. It's fine. Every now and again, I don't mind. On my terms, though. All right, so that's what I'm looking at. That's why I'm hesitant. That's why I'm being, I'm very nimble. And I showed you some of the add reduce. All right, so Doge no go. All right, Ethereum though, look at the difference. We're back above the moving averages. Daily uptrend. Look, this is not bad, except we're smacking the the 200 again. So if it wasn't for that, I'd be happy. Look, we got an ABC here on the 4-hour, deep C, but then it's gotten back above it and given us a nice little consolidation. So if it wasn't so close on the daily, that would be ideal. This is it. Excuse me. This is it here. Very deep here, but we get back above, and then we start to get a rising 20 here. This would be okay for entry here. Probably not so much here, because it's kind of the 20 is a little flattish. And this is the anchor then to the 4-hour. See it here? So we got price acceptance short. We probably have. So it's only when we get this bar here that we get price acceptance long. And you can see this one attempted it, but didn't get there. All right, so now it's looking good. So it's up to you whether you want to have a crack at that, but I'm not going to put it on because of the 200. And you can see what it's done. And don't just think, oh, every other time it's gone through with a decent wick. Because this time it may not. Look at header. Look, it's testing the 8 right on it. So until we get test, rejection, and then through, starting to get through. Remember, we got that. So that was a rejection bar, and then we get a bar like that, which will be sort of forming in here. Then we look for the move up into the 20, but not now. So you can see why I'm being just a little bit cautious. The good thing on our side with some of these, the linkers and all, we've got the the big climactics. So we're hoping for that snapback, but we don't have big separation like we do here. See it here? Moving average separation. Where it gives us enough room to profit. Here it doesn't, look. Hope that makes sense. Doesn't mean it won't work. Alright, so you can see they're all very similar. Solana's had a crack at it. Rejected hard. So, unless it can get back up into this region, I would be leaving that. Sui the same. Look, Sui actually looks short. TRX is not bad. Look, if we can get up sort of here, back above the moving averages, that would be better. XLM. Weekly's not ideal, but see the difference here? If it paused like that today, then the next bar should go through. XMR, this has been good. This is the one that I've traded, and I've shown you my trades on this, and held while it popped through. Flat 20, see the rejection off it? This is what I talk about. The retracement through here, look. So we're right at the 50%, but I'm hoping this can get back above into this region, and I'll have another go. So my, my entries were through here, and I've actually entered another little one there, but my stop is right here, my break-even stop. But I've taken, profits all the way through there. I showed you that. Right, here it is here on the 1 hour. That's the 4 hour we're looking at, but here's the 1 hour. So see the pullback through here and the little pop. See, I've added in there. Right there. See the little B in there. You may or may not be able to see that. But notice here my previous, see all the cells? Sell, and then it's based out. And now that it's based out, I did another buy, which bought there's my average buy, and my stop was just underneath it. So I've already banked, quite a bit of profit through there. But this is how I'm being while the market is the way that it is. All right, so nice little base. All right, so that was a good place to now, bring the stop, even if my average. That's my average there. See in the solid green line. Average buy. So it's it's well and truly in profit. And there's another take profit through there. And there's one high if we can push through. So if we can get back into this region. Right, so that's sort of how I'm I'm trying to be very nimble while it's not conclusive. I guess, look, I've got the time to be able to do that as well. All right, XRP is not the same. It's under the moving averages. A little bit of separation there. So that's actually shown, look, a little bit of 1, 2, potential third wave in here. So this has got potential as well, but I don't like it here. So, anyway, so that's what I'm seeing, folks. It's the old saying, though, when in doubt, stay out. Just leave it alone. Don't try and build a case. Oops. No, if you're one of those people that kind of, stews over the chart, trying to find an entry and gets all confused about it, use that rule. If I can't find a trade quickly and easily and obviously, then there's probably not one there. So I created that little hack myself to just to keep me from, building a case and getting in on flimsy evidence, even if it was kind of, trading plan-ish, if that makes sense. All right, don't forget the news tonight. What is it? All right, so we've got ADP tonight and some CAD, all right, and then overnight some US. So there we go, folks. All right, trade safe. A couple of good ideas there, but I think be a little bit selective, folks. If you can, be a little bit nimble and maybe keep your risk down a bit, like we've got there. So there we go. All right, folks. Thanks for your company. Take care, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.